My name is Blake Moore, Natural Resources Extension Agent.
Hey, I'm Dan Severson, Ag Agent.
Hi, I'm Jake Jones, Kent County Ag Agent for the University of Delaware Cooperative Extension. Welcome to Extension 302.
Welcome to Extension 302, where we are dropping knowledge, keeping Extension real, reliable, and relevant. I'm Dan Severson, along with Dr. Jake Jones and Mr. Blake Moore. Hey guys, this is the first episode that we're all in the same room together. I don't know about you guys, but man, I'm digging this vibe.
It's weird, but I'm happy to be here.
All right.
It's been a long time coming, but here we go. Starting getting back towards normal.
Yeah, who would have thought that we'd be so excited to be doing this in June of 2021? You guys?
It's just hard to believe that it's been over a year since we've had to do the podcast, actually sitting in our own homes, in our own rooms, and now we get to do it together. This is awesome.
I forgot how to talk to people. It's good practice.
Well, so it's June, and June is Dairy Month. Since it is Dairy Month, we thought, why not talk to a dairy farmer? I could not think of anybody better than our guest today, but Miss Charmayne Busker of Jenamy Farms in Harrington, Delaware. Miss Charmayne is involved in the family dairy there. She's secretary of the Delaware Holstein Association, and anything else related to dairy industry in the state of Delaware, it's all about Miss Charmayne. Charmayne's like Madonna or Prince or Cher. It's just one name. If anyone says you need to talk to Charmayne, you just know, right? I've known Miss Charmayne and her family since I started showing cows back in the early 80s. I guess that's when I first met you guys. And the folder that's on my computer for all the Holstein dairy stuff is actually named Charmayne. So when I need to go to my computer and look for dairy stuff, I like Charmayne. She's a big supporter of our extension program. And Miss Charmayne, welcome to Extension 302.
Well, thank you, Danny. It's nice to be with you guys. It makes me feel old when, I've watched you all grow up, but we won't go there.
What, you're only like 32.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Yep. So, and you guys are still 13, so it's okay.
That's right. Since you're known by one name, most music and entertainers, like Madonna, those are known by one name. Who's your favorite music artist?
Oh, that's pretty funny. No, see, I'm too old for that. Well, the cows used to listen to country music.
So we'll just say you're a country music fan.
Ms. Charmayne, can you give us the current state of the dairy industry? And that's both the positive and negative aspects of it.
Most farmers are pretty good at talking about doom and gloom. It's certainly been a very challenging last 18 months for us, just like it's been for every aspect of agriculture and any other business. The challenges with the dairy business don't really change. The biggest challenge right now for us and probably for any other business is labor. I think that's what drives an awful lot of the folks that have left the business. It's because labor is a very tough thing to deal with. We continue to deal with really slim margins, and then the volatility of prices. We've been through a real tough time with restaurants and schools closing and a big change in the marketing of all kinds of dairy products, and that's been reflected in our prices. But you can't stay a dairy farmer unless you are enthused by the opportunity to continue to change things, to be better, to make the margins a little wider, and not a dairy farmer out there that doesn't enjoy working with good cows. And that's, there's a lot of pride in that, and you have to love the business to be in it. That's why some of us are still in it, fewer and fewer all the time, certainly not just in Delaware, but everywhere. But, the folks that are still here are doing it because it's a part of agriculture that they certainly enjoy dealing with.
The state of the industry, I guess, in Delaware is we're looking at about 18 dairy farms in the state, 3,800 cows in lactation. We have 4 creameries. We got, Woodside, we have the University, we have Vanderwins, and we have Hopkins down there. What kind of breeds of cattle are out there?
There's a little bit of everything, but predominantly Holsteins in Delaware. The Jerseys compete equally well with Holsteins because of their higher components and solids, and That's one of the reasons in the very beginning that Woodside was so successful, because that Jersey milk makes really good ice cream. There are very few of the Swiss or Guernseys there are a few milk and shorthorns kind of mixed in here and there, predominantly Holsteins, and then a few Jerseys.
It sounds like since the Holsteins are the major breed here in Delaware, it seems like Delaware Holstein Association is there to help dairy farmers in Delaware. Can you explain what the Delaware Holstein Association is and what people can expect from it?
Well, Holstein Association is sort of a misnomer these days because we're very inclusive. It's, that was the corporate name way back, and we've certainly just maintained that. But our membership supports whatever dairy folks are out there. I went back and checked because I knew we had just celebrated our 100th anniversary in 2018. So that association has been around 100 years. Probably more focus in the beginning with helping folks with supporting registered Holstein cattle. There was a lot of emphasis in the 70s and 80s on marketing. The National Association had a really active marketing association and helping people with buying and selling cattle. Our membership right now is probably down to less than 50. The dues are minimal. It gets you a subscription to a quarterly southeastern area Holstein magazine, and a bunch of emails from Charmayne throughout the year about activities. Typically there's an annual Holstein meeting that includes a farm tour. We sponsor a spring dairy show for 4-H and FFA, which was postponed last year. Middletown FFA kind of put that together this year on the Cook farm. That's a primary activity. And then we support the cow camp program that 4-H handles, and then a bunch of the dairy activities at the fair. It's more a fellowship of dairy farmers that get together to do different things through the year, more so than a marketing or an organization that helps with registrations or anything like that. Those kinds of things are still sort of handled at the national level, but it's more a commodity organization for the dairy folks.
Well, it sounds like you guys do quite a bit of good work for dairy farmers in Delaware. What type of relationship do you have here with Dan, the dairyman here at Extension? You guys work together with him quite a bit, and what types of things you guys do?
Well, I send him all our emails, so he gets all that mail. And then, Danny's a wonderful resource when you need something. Materials for a cow camp program at the fair, you send them to Cohouse. Danny's a wonderful resource for us to have.
I'm glad to hear that, because now we have that on record that Dan does good work.
Yeah, I'm not going to, that udder was ridiculous. And ask Susan, because I think we buried it in her garden afterwards. Speaking of that, you touched on some of the events, the fair, do some county shows down there, some 4-H shows, fundraising. But one of the big things you guys do is your cow camp. Can you just give us a little bit more things you do there for cow camp and how that all came about?
Well, that started back in the dark ages, before you guys were probably even born. We had for a couple years, we had a event here on the farm where kids came, and we had a bunch of heifers that were broken to lead, and they had the day to get those ready to show, and then we had a little show at night. We did that here for a few years. We did it at the university. I think we were at Mom and Dad's one year, and then for a while that didn't happen, and then back in 2000 or somewhere around in there, we went to the fair with it and turned it into an overnight camp where kids bring an animal, and we work with them throughout the weekend with different fitting and showmanship activities, but then an awful lot of other educational activities about the dairy industry, whether it's careers or how we develop feeding. We've done some like a farm finance or monopoly kind of game. Just try to expand it so it includes not just a set of clippers and a wash bucket and a show halter, but it shows kids a lot of other aspects of the dairy industry over that weekend. So we've done that for quite a while. Of course, last year we were COVIDed out, And it sounds like this year on just Saturday, July 3rd, we're looking at the possibility of putting together just a single day workshop where we'd have kids wouldn't bring their calves, but we would have a few animals there and work through some different educational workshops through the day. So that's still kind of up in the air, like so many things that we're working through this year. But hopefully, that'll be back again next year. We've had as many as 65 kids there for that, which is too many, but a group of 30 or 40 makes for a really great weekend and learning experience for the kids, and we certainly enjoy supporting that.
I remember cow camp, Miss Charmayne, because I remember going to your place. It was the first time I think my dad took me out and your place. That was the first cow camp I ever went to. I don't remember how old I was, but it had to be like 83. It was a great,
Yeah, could have been.
For my career path, I guess.
And then we had you come back as a judge, so see what happens, right?
Yeah, it's in your blood. You get hooked. They won't let you go.
Ms. Charmayne, can you tell us about the Delaware Dairy Princess, exactly what that is and who's eligible and the whole process, I guess? I've seen it in the paper once in a while, but I'd like you to walk us through it if you would.
Actually set up just as another marketing avenue for the dairy industry to support. Each year they select a young lady that's willing to spend some time promoting the dairy industry to groups that don't often see that connection. Typically they spend a lot of time doing day camps. They go into some schools, whatever opportunities they have to have an audience that they can speak to and talk about the benefits of dairy products in everybody's diet, and also to provide some learning experiences for folks about the dairy business. That one goes back to over 50 years ago. Ann Sheets was the first dairy princess in 1969. The current princess is Bethany Knutson, and Bethany's doing something interesting this summer. She I half a dozen, I think, dates they've set up where they're going to have an on-farm camp that she's hosting and have kids come to the Knutson's farm and spend a day on the farm milking cows and doing all different kinds of things. But certainly that's something that she's doing as an outreach to explain to people that don't spend time on farms kind of what it's like day to day. So that's kind of a neat program that she's started. They're also available to as speakers or presenters if folks have a need for something like that. And then she'll certainly be very visible at the fair as presenting awards and doing some other promotion activities at the fair. But it's just a very traditional program that's been in place for a long time that lets young ladies promote the dairy industry. Eligibility is anybody 16 and up, and I don't think you don't have to grow up on a farm, you don't have to live on a farm, you just have to be willing to understand the material and be willing to promote the dairy industry. Laura Emerson Greer is the coordinator of all that. So if there are some folks that are interested in learning more about it, the contest is typically in the spring. For the last few years, it's been in conjunction with the Holstein annual meeting. So it would be something in the spring of 22, but Laura would be the contact for that.
Well, that sounds like an important program for the industry and for those young people who are getting practice as becoming advocates for agriculture. So I think it's a pretty good program, and hopefully people will look into that and get up with Laura Emerson Greer if they need more information. So I did have another question.
Yeah.
What kind of fundraising do you do at the state fair?
It's all about tradition, right? We have had a calf raffle program. I don't know how long ago that went into place, but anyway, fun thing at the state fair, we have a fairly young calf, a couple months old maybe. And, you know, it's right there for folks to walk by, and then they have the opportunity to buy a raffle ticket. At the end of the week on Saturday night, we'll draw the winner of the raffle ticket. And then those folks would have the opportunity to take the calf if they want, or there's also a cash option. It's just a wonderful fundraising opportunity for the Holstein Association, because you know the tickets are $1, and tugging on mom or dad, please, please, please buy a ticket. I want to take that calf home. The reality of it is that an awful lot of the time, the winner of the calf is someone that has a place to put it. And then when that doesn't happen, and then the people have selected the calf, we've had ways to work that out or find somebody to buy it or whatever. But that's typically we certainly didn't do it last year. Not sure how it's going to be handled this year, but it's been an ongoing source of income for the association for a very long time.
That's neat. I remember seeing that calf at the
Danny Severson has never won that calf. I don't know if he's not bought enough tickets or what.
Because it's a Holstein. I don't want a Holstein. Put a jersey out there.
Branch out a little bit there, Mr. Severson.
No. Y'all Holstein breeders need to branch out a little bit.
I'm sure we could do a whole episode just on the back and forth between that. So it sounds like you've been involved, you know, your entire life in the dairy industry here in Delaware, and you're a great ally to the industry. We really appreciate you joining us today. And, you know, I don't have a ton of experience around agriculture throughout my life, but I can tell you I've had plenty of experience with dairy. It's in my daily life, whether it's at breakfast, whether it's dessert, you know, it's just all around us. And, you know, we want to make sure that we help raise up the industry here. What is a take-home message for either the dairy industry in Delaware and for the general public in Delaware that you would like to give?
Well, I certainly appreciate your perspective on that there's always milk at the table when you sit down, and that's, you know, that's what we need for our part of agriculture, just like any other, to survive. It's, you know, it's a supply and demand issue, and for us to be profitable, there needs to be a demand for our product. So dairy farmers have been very successful in learning how to be excellent producers of the product. We can, you know, ramp up production, and we've been able to be very successful at producing an abundance of the product. We need to be more successful at creating demand on the consumer side for that product. And that's a challenge that we face every day.
Miss Charmayne, we really appreciate it.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed listening to Charmayne talk about the dairy industry here in Delaware. And then we still have Dan, the dairy man, here with us on Extension 302. So Dan, just tell us a little bit more about Dairy Month and how it came to be and why it's so important.
Dairy farmers, you know, they get their milk check, but out of every 100 weight of milk, or, you know what, they get a checkoff dollars are pulled out. So they take some of this checkoff dollars, and it's used, you know, to help promote the dairy industry, dairy products, and, you know, combat the imitation almond milk and soy milk. But getting back to your point of the question is, Dairy Month was originally established as a grocery milk promotion in 1937 as National Milk Month. And it was, like I said, to promote dairy when production was at surplus, because, you know, you're thinking of May, June, what's happening? You got green up. Green up equals forage for these cows, which equals abundance of milk, which milk aplenty. So you got schools out, you got all this milk, you know, they were just finding a way to get rid of this surplus milk. And plus it's very nutritious for us. So 1939, they established it as National Dairy Month. I know it's a little bit of useless knowledge, but it's kind of useful for today.
I think it's great knowledge. And I also liken it to things like, I mean, I can think of some of the things back in the day that got me drinking more milk was the milk mustache or milk. It does a body good.
Yeah,
Those types of things. You know what I mean?
Milk, so
Got
simple,
milk.
and yeah.
Exactly.
I think now it's a fuel up 60 or something like that. Yeah.
So it seems like a lot goes into promoting the dairy industry, and it's kind of strange that it's struggling right now. And is that kind of the imitation milk? Do you think that's one of the main reasons why we're dealing with that right now?
Imitation milk, or non-dairy products are always going to have a part on the shelf. They're always going to have a percentage of the sales. Is that the problem with the dairy industry? In my honest opinion, no. I think if the USDA would follow up with their definition of what milk is and follow the law of the definition, then it can't be soy milk. It can't be almond milk, because milk comes from a lactational animal, a mammal. So, it all depends on that. But I think the biggest issue we're dealing with is it's hard work. People don't want to do it. Labor's an issue. Regulations are an issue. The pricing system we have as far as farmers are getting paid for milk needs to be reevaluated. There's tons of issues, and I'm pretty sure I could spend a whole podcast on my opinions, but I don't have any skin in the game. That's up for the dairy farmers to decide. I'm just there to help them when I can, man.
Seems like you're doing a pretty good job. You got the respect of the industry here in Delaware so far. Everybody knows Danny.
If you do call me Danny, that means you have known me a long time.
Well, the labor issues aren't just in dairy, so maybe that's a topic we should cover in another episode. Labor issues in agriculture.
I think you nailed it there, Jake. Vegetables, crops, chicken. Yeah, every industry is hurting for labor, period. During what we're going through, there's plenty of jobs out there, who just can't fill them.
Well, I know this. I know that I want the dairy industry to be successful because I got to have my ice cream and I have to have my milk and my cereal, because I'm not going to be like the movie Friday and put some water on that stuff.
Yeah, no, you don't want to be like Craig on Friday. No, but I tell you what, Delaware in the dairy industry, we're losing cows, we're losing farms, but I tell you what, we got some of the best ice cream. We got one of the best ice cream trails you can think of. So
I was going to say, how impactful has that been, having creameries and having that agritourism? Does that kind of help keep the dairy industry alive?
I'll let the farmers that have their creameries speak for that, but the testament to them, if it didn't work, we wouldn't have 4 of them.
Got that right.
So somebody's doing something right.
We hope you've enjoyed today's episode and will join us next time. In the meantime, visit us online at udel.edu/extension, join our mailing list, and join us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at UD Extension. This program is brought to you by the University of Delaware Cooperative Extension, a service of the UD College of Agriculture and Natural Resources, a land-grant institution. This institution is an equal opportunity provider.